Hey, what's happening, you guys? The MD93 coming at you here, doing a little follow up commentary to the one I did last time, the little screen capture test. Just wanted to, share some thoughts, ideas, and shit with champs for you guys. Voice is nasally, not feeling very well, laryngitis due to partying too much. So, let's get this over with. Alright, first up we got Akali, the Fist of Shadow, one of my favorite champions of all time. Excellent burst damage. Build her full on AP and maybe a little bit of attack speed. I like to use items like Boots of Lucidity, Rabadons, Rylai's Crystal Scepter, all that good stuff. Next up, we have Alistair, the Minotaur. A lot of people build Alistair pure tank. However, I prefer to build him AP tank, which ensures that he does a ton of damage because two of his moves scale 100% with AP. So, items like Rod of Ages, Rylai's Crystal Scepter again, Spirit Visage, all that good stuff. Alright. Next up, we have Anivia, the Cryo Phoenix. An extremely powerful champ if played right. You got to build her full on caster. What I would do is I would start with boots. Make sure you build Rod of Ages as your first major item. Then get Sorcerer's Shoes. Then build pure AP. Two Archangel Staffs and a Rabadon's is definitely recommended right here. I'm going to skip Annie because I don't play her a lot. Skip Ashe as well. And we'll go on to Corki, the Daring Bombardier. Corki is an extremely powerful melee DPS champion, very powerful at range. His ult is extremely useful for picking off running champions. I would build full on attack damage, attack speed, DPS Corki. Use items like Black Cleaver, Infinity Edge, maybe a Phantom Dancer too, and Berserker Greaves for boots. Next up, we'll go ahead to Gangplank, the Saltwater Scourge. Gangplank, a lot of people choose to build him pure crit, but that doesn't really help your damage. So what I do is I like to build him AD and crit, using items like Phantom Dancer, Berserker Greaves, Infinity Edge, and the like to ensure that my parlay does as much damage as possible. Frozen Mallet may also work, and Manamune is a definite must-have for Gangplank. Next up, we have Gragas, the Rabble Rouser. Gragas is an extremely powerful nuke as well, and has a lot of good AP and AD. I build Gragas pure tanky AP using items like Rylai's Crystal Scepter, Rod of Ages, Boots of Cooldown Reduction, and Archangel Staffs to ensure that his barrels do the maximum amount of damage. Next up, we have Jax, the Grandmaster at Arms. Jax is an extremely awkward champion because he's one of the few champions that I build pure hybrid. AD and AP work extremely well for Jax because his passive ensures that your health is going to scale with both. A funny little joke: if you build Gwinsu's Rage Blade on Jax, his health fluctuates. I always found that extremely funny. But pure hybrid for Jax, and I would definitely take Berserker Greaves in terms of boots for that attack speed. Next up, we have Kassadin, the Void Walker. Kassadin is an extremely powerful burst damage nuker, but on the downside, he's extremely squishy unless you build items like Rod of Ages. So I would do that. I would also put Rylai's on Kassadin because that slow is going to help make sure your Null Sphere does the maximum amount. And then I would build Archangels and Rabadons on him for more AP. Next up, we have Katarina, the Sinister Blade. I have had a falling out with her. I've stopped using Cat for the most part. But again, AP, burst damage. You have to make sure you connect with that ult. Next up, we have Kennen, the Heart of the Tempest. Kennen, again, extremely powerful nuke. Make sure you build him pure AP and Magic Pen so that you get the most out of his ult and shurikens and also the Mark of the Storm. Next up, we have Kog'Maw, the mouth of the abyss. Blech. Kog'Maw, is another champion that I build hybrid, attack speed AP, that ensures that your W is going to whittle down their health at an extremely fast speed. I would build items like Madred's Blood Razor, Gwinsu's Rage Blade, pardon me, and then more AP items like Rylai's and Rabadons. Next up, we have LeBlanc, the Deceiver. Obviously, most of you know about LeBlanc, probably the most powerful nuke in the game. Her ult ensures that you will be getting kills. Build her pure AP nuke, items like Rabadons and Rylai's and must-haves here. Next up, Malzahar, the Prophet of the Void. Malzahar is an extremely powerful damage over time champion, and I would recommend you build him full AP to get the most out of his Malefic Visions, Null Zone, and Nether Grasp. Items like Rabadons and Rylai's are must-have so that your Q will apply an extremely powerful slow and a lot of damage. Next up, we have Master Yi, the Wuju Bladesman. Your basic DPS champion. I build him pure life, steal, attack speed, and damage, so as to make sure that I will be able to survive a 1v1. Next, we have Misfortune, the OP Tits Master. Again, standard DPS champion. Make sure you pick up that Frozen Mallet so that your attacks will apply that on-hit slow. Mordekaiser, the Master of Metal. Build him pure tank and health regen. Items like Force of Nature, Warmogs, and Thornmail are an absolute must. Next up, we have Olaf, the Berserker. Olaf used to be one of my favorite champions in the game, mostly because of his high damage output and extremely fast attacks. I personally built him pure DPS rather than the tanky noobs you see walking around every day now. Make sure you get your Yomus, Berserker Greaves, and Bloodthirster and Infinity Edge to maximize his damage output. Next up, we have Rammus, the Armadillo. Another pure tank. Rammus needs items like Force of Nature and Thornmail to ensure that his damage output is extremely potent. Next up, Shaco, the Demon Jester. Shaco can be played either AD or AP. I prefer to build him hybrid attack speed AP to maximize the effects of his E, the two Shiv poison, and his extremely high attack speed and base damage. Next up, we have Singed, the Mad Chemist. I prefer to build Singed as I do Alistair, AP tank. Items like Rylai's, Rod of Ages, and also Warmogs are must-have for Singed. Next up, Scion, the Undead Champion. I build Scion pure tanky damage, using items such as Phantom Dancer, Berserker Greaves, and Infinity Edge to output his extremely strong damage output with his E skill and Rage. Next up, we have Swain, the Master Tactician. Swain, like Malzahar, is an extremely potent damage over time champion, and I build him pure AP to complement that. I normally use Rylai's, Rabadons, and Archangel's Staff to boost up his Q, E, and R health return. Next up, we have Tryndamere, the Barbarian King. Tryndamere is a pure crit and attack damage, attack speed champion, taking items such as Phantom Dancer, Berserker Greaves, Bloodthirster, and Infinity Edge to complement his undying rage and lust for battle. Next up, we have Twitch, the Plague Rat. Twitch, again, is an ADS champion who makes use of his passive Toxic Shot to make sure that the enemies go down like lightning. Build Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, and Berserker Greaves to complement Twitch's amazing abilities and damage output. Next up, I'll skip down to Vladimir, the Crimson Reaper. Vlad is probably one of my favorite nukes right now. If you would like to take a look, I posted one of my best games with him the other day, 14-11. I pulled off a perfect game, 9-0-10 in threes, I'm yet missing 1 in 5, but this is the closest I've come. I build Vlad pure AP and health, taking items Sorcerer's Shoes, Rylai's Crystal Scepter, Warmog's Armor, Rabadon's Death Cap, Void Staff, and possibly another Rabadon's to complement it all. Finally, we have Warwick, the Blood Hunter. Warwick is a pure ADAS champion, taking items like Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge, and Berserker Greaves to complement his extremely high lifesteal and damage output. That's all I got for you today. I'm sick and tired, and BSR doesn't fucking record real LOL games. Well, that's all for tonight. Goodbye.